These 14 hidden sleeper cars from the 1960s might look ordinary, but they're hiding some serious power. Discover which cars from the past had the best surprises waiting under the hood. 1. 1967 Chevrolet Biscayne 427. The 1967 Chevrolet Biscayne 427 is a perfect example of a hidden sleeper car. At first glance, it might just look like a regular family sedan, but don't be fooled. This car was a powerhouse, hiding its true strength beneath a plain exterior. Unlike flashy muscle cars with bright chrome and bold designs, the Biscayne kept things simple. It didn't have fancy features, just basic seats and simple details. But underneath, it had a 427 cubic inch V8 engine that could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.1 seconds. The Biscayne wasn't made to show off. It was built to be affordable and practical, with few extra luxuries. While most Biscaynes came with small engines for everyday driving, some lucky buyers knew they could order it with that powerful 427 engine. This turned an ordinary car into a beast on the road. Even though it had the power of a race car, the Biscayne didn't get the attention it deserved. It was overshadowed by other popular models like the Chevy Impala and Corvette. People didn't expect much from it because it didn't look flashy or sporty. But to those who understood performance, the Biscayne was a true find, a car that didn't need to show off its power because it was all about the drive. Second, 1963. Prince Gloria Super 6. The 1963 Prince Gloria Super 6 was the first Japanese sedan to have a 122 cubic inch six-cylinder engine, making it special for its time. While other cars were gaining attention, the Gloria Super 6 quietly delivered great power and performance, but never got the fame it deserved. Now, let's talk power. The Gloria Super 6 had the G7 engine, a 122 cubic inch, inline six-cylinder engine that produced 106 horsepower at 5,400 revolutions per minute. At a time when most sedans of this size had four-cylinder engines, the Super 6 was a big step forward in terms of power. It was smooth, fast, and very impressive for a car built in Japan. One of the things that made the Super 6 stand out was its suspension system. It had a front independent suspension and a de Dion rear axle, which helped it handle better than many of its competitors. This made the car feel more stable and easier to control, especially at higher speeds. However, the Gloria Super 6 didn't get the attention it deserved for a few reasons. One reason was that it didn't have much exposure outside of Japan. While other car brands pushed their cars to foreign markets, Prince focused mainly on selling in Japan. This kept the Super 6 from being widely known around the world. Another reason the car stayed under the radar was the fast-changing car industry in Japan. Just a year after the Super 6 was released, Prince came out with a newer version that had a 153 cubic inch engine, making the original model less popular. Even though the Super 6 won races, it wasn't enough to make it famous. It had the power and technology to be a legend, but it remained a forgotten classic. 3. 1968 AMC Rebel SST 390. The 1968 AMC Rebel SST 390 was a mid-sized car that quietly packed a lot of performance. It was American Motors' answer to the big car brands, but it never got the spotlight it deserved. At first glance, the Rebel SST looked like a regular family car, but AMC gave it a powerful engine. It had a 390 cubic inch V8 engine that made 315 horsepower. This engine was the same one used in the two-seat AMX, showing that AMC was serious about speed. With its torque command automatic transmission and heavy-duty suspension, the Rebel SST had great acceleration and smooth handling, making it fun to drive. In 1968, the Rebel SST got a fresh new design. It had a restyled grille, new taillights, and side markers that lit up. It also introduced new door handles that were flush with the car's body, a feature that AMC would keep for many years. The convertible version of the Rebel SST became the last open-top car AMC ever made, making it even rarer today. Inside, the car had room for 6 people with comfortable seats. It also had an optional power top with a glass rear window and high-quality materials. AMC focused on safety with features like energy-absorbing steering columns, shoulder belts, and better door locks. Even though the Rebel SST 390 had great performance and features, it was overshadowed by other AMC models like the Javelin and AMX. With only 73,895 units sold, it didn't get the recognition it deserved, even though it was a real muscle car. 4. 1965 Dodge Coronet 426 Street Wedge. The 1965 Dodge Coronet 426 Street Wedge is one of those sleeper cars that many people have forgotten about. While Dodge was making a big deal about their famous HEMI engines, the Street Wedge quietly waited in the background. It wasn't the star of any big ads, and not many people ordered it. This made it one of the most underrated muscle cars of its time. It wasn't flashy, but it had everything a true street racer needed. Under the hood, the Street Wedge had a 426 cubic inch V8 engine. It wasn't the famous HEMI, but it was still powerful. It had a single 4-barrel carburetor instead of the dual-carb setup found in the Hemi, which made it more street-friendly. Even with these changes, it still made 365 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, which was more powerful than most other cars in its class. Additionally, Dodge and Plymouth both offered the 426 Street Wedge in 1964 and 1965, but it never got the attention it deserved. Most people were focused on the bigger, more race-ready HEMI engines. This made the Street Wedge a true sleeper car. It didn't look special, but it could outperform many of the muscle cars that were getting all the attention. Now let's talk numbers. The 1965 Coronet had a new design with a 117-inch wheelbase and a total length of 204 inches. It came in different trims, and the Street Wedge engine could be ordered in both hardtop and convertible models. It had a strong suspension, a 4-speed manual transmission, and police-grade brakes. Despite being simple in appearance, it was a muscle car in disguise, waiting to surprise anyone who thought it was just an ordinary Dodge. 1968 Suzuki Fronte 360 SS. The 1968 Suzuki Fronte 360 SS may look like a simple city car, but it was secretly a powerful performer. Built as a K car in Japan, it was small, lightweight, and compact. Despite its size, the Fronte SS packed a punch with its 22 cubic inch, 3-cylinder, air-cooled, 2-stroke engine that produced 36 horsepower. This was a big upgrade from the standard model, making it quicker and more fun to drive in the city. Considering suspension, the Fronte SS had an independent suspension with coil springs, which helped it handle tight corners smoothly. It was fast for its size, surprising many who thought it was just a cute city car. However, its small engine and simple design made it easy to overlook, especially when larger, more powerful cars were more popular. The Fronte 360 SS didn't get much attention outside of Japan, and even its export version with a 29 cubic inch engine didn't catch the world's eye. Its round shape, called Daruma, made it look more like a friendly city car rather than a performance machine. 6. 1966 Ford Fairlane 500 R Code. The 1966 Ford Fairlane 500 R Code is a muscle car that doesn't get the attention it deserves, but it has the power to surprise anyone. While cars like the Mustang and Galaxy from Ford are well known, the Fairlane hides something special under its hood. It has a tunnel port, 427 cubic inch V8 engine, one of the rarest and most powerful engines Ford ever made. Speaking of performance, This car was made for speed. It was built to be fast on the drag strip, but over time, it faded into the background. The Fairlane 500R Code doesn't look like a flashy muscle car. Instead, it has a simple design that doesn't stand out. But inside, it's a machine capable of running quarter miles in the 11-second range. The 427 V8 engine is no ordinary engine. It was built for high performance with cast-iron heads and a cast crankshaft. Even with mostly original parts, this engine still puts out over 500 horsepower on a dyno. Keeping the engine running smoothly isn't easy though, since finding replacement parts is difficult. This is because only a few of these engines were ever made. Many people don't realize how valuable this car is. The engine alone can be worth $18,000, which is even more than the car itself, since many Fairlanes sell for around $10,000. The car was originally painted in a bright aqua color, but later it was repainted in Mexico for under $1,000, keeping it low-key. The 1966 Ford Fairlane 500R Code is a perfect example of a sleeper car. Hidden in plain sight, overlooked by many, but built to surprise anyone who underestimates it. 7. 1962 Galaxy 500 XL 406. The 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 XL 406 is a great example of a sleeper car that was built to compete with cars like the Chevrolet Impala SS and Dodge's big muscle cars, but unfortunately, it didn't steal the spotlight. Ford made just 1,378 of these cars with the 406 cubic-inch V8 engine, making it rare even back then. However, this car was Ford's first with an engine larger than 400 cubic inches, showing they were serious about performance. The Galaxy came with two versions of the 406 engine. The first version had a single 4-barrel carburetor and made 385 horsepower. The second version, called the Super High Performance Tri-Power, had three 2-barrel carburetors and made 405 horsepower. Both versions were designed to move fast. Ford made sure the Galaxy could handle its power by adding a 4-speed manual transmission, heavy-duty suspension, and stronger drum brakes. The car could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.1 seconds, which was fast at the time. The Tri-Power version was even quicker, by about half a second. No doubt, the Galaxy was heavier than some of its rivals, so it wasn't the fastest on the drag strip. But on the streets, it surprised many people. If someone didn't notice the gold 406 badge, they might have underestimated its power. Motor Trend even said it had Ferrari performance at a fifth of the price. Despite its impressive features, the 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 XL 406 remained a sleeper, never becoming as famous as other muscle cars. 8. 1965 Rambler Marlin. The 1965 Rambler Marlin was American Motors' bold step into the world of performance cars and fastbacks. It was very different from the small practical cars AMC usually made. But even though it was a big change for the company, the Marlin stayed hidden in the shadows, overshadowed by the competition. The idea for the Marlin began with the AMC Tarpon, a smaller fastback based on the Rambler American. But AMC's president, Roy Abernethy, had bigger ideas. Instead of keeping the car small, he decided to use the larger Rambler Classic platform, which gave the Marlin more space, more comfort, and a bigger engine. This made the Marlin a more powerful car. Let's rewind a bit. The Marlin was introduced on February 10, 1965, with a large advertising campaign. It was promoted in 2,400 newspapers, and every dealership received at least 1 or 2 units. The goal was to change AMC's image and show they could make exciting cars. The Marlin was advertised as the Sensible Spectacular, combining practicality with performance. Under the cover, the Marlin came with a 6-cylinder engine, but the real power came from the optional 327 cubic-inch V8. This made the car much more powerful, but it still didn't get the attention it deserved. While cars like the Ford Mustang and Plymouth Barracuda were marketed as sporty and fast, the Marlin offered performance without giving up comfort. AMC only made 10,327 Marlins in 1965, and after that, cars like the Dodge Charger and Mercury Cougar quickly took the spotlight. The Marlin had the power, but it was never able to get the recognition it deserved. 9. 1963 Nissan Cedric Special 50. The 1963 Nissan Cedric Special 50 was more than just a big sedan. It was a powerful luxury car that surprised many. Built when owning a car in Japan was still a dream for many people, it quietly became a sleeper car with both power and comfort. It had a 173 cubic inch inline six-cylinder engine that made 115 horsepower, which was strong for a domestic sedan at the time. Even though the Cedric Special 50 had a great performance, it never became famous like other cars from that era. One reason was its design. It looked more like a fancy limousine than a powerful sedan. Its elegant and formal style made it seem less like a performance car. Another reason it stayed hidden was because it wasn't widely sold outside Japan. While some Cedric models were exported, they never gained as much attention as European luxury cars. By 1965, the Cedric Special 50 was replaced by the Nissan President, which further pushed it into the background. With its combination of power and luxury, the Cedric Special 50 was a hidden classic. It offered strength and elegance, but remained largely unknown in the car world. 10th, 1968 Mercury Mterrey 428 Police Interceptor. The 1968 Mercury Mterrey 428 Police Interceptor quietly worked as a police car, chasing down speeders. Built for the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the Mterrey had serious power, but never became as famous as other police cars. Now the interesting part, Ford made 37,379 Mercury Mterrey cars in 1968, but only a few were made for police use with the powerful 428 cubic inch V8 engine. This engine was the strongest option for the Mterrey that year, making 340 horsepower. It was built for speed, power, and long highway chases, perfect for law enforcement. But that's not all. Most regular Mercury cars came with a smaller 390 cubic inch V8, but the police version needed more power. The 428 engine was built to catch criminals quickly. It had a 3-speed automatic transmission for smooth driving and heavy-duty suspension to handle high-speed chases. The car also had strong drum brakes and a cooling system to prevent the engine from overheating during long patrols. Despite its size, the Mterrey Police Interceptor had a sleek design. It was inspired by the Lincoln Continental, with a clean front end and a wider grille. It looked like a regular car, but it was packed with muscle under the hood. This car was built to blend in while having the power to chase down anyone on the road. The 1968 Mercury Mterrey 428 Police Interceptor was a powerful sleeper car, often overlooked, but ready to catch anything that came its way. 11. 1964 Studebaker Lark Daytona 2-door sedan. R2 supercharged. The 1964 Studebaker Lark Daytona 2-door sedan was built in Canada at Studebaker's plant in Hamilton, Ontario. This car was meant to be a sporty, fun version of a small car, but it's much more than it seems, and that's what makes it such a hidden sleeper. Inside the powerhouse, the Lark Daytona had a 289 cubic inch V8 engine. This engine was already pretty strong, but it got an upgrade to something called R2 specs. This meant it had a supercharger, a bigger camshaft, and a special carburetor to give it more power. Even though the car looked like a regular sedan, it could surprise many faster cars with its extra boost. Not only this, the car's transmission was swapped out for a 4-speed manual, which made it much more fun to drive. It also had a rear end called twin traction with 3.3 1-to-1 gears, which helped it put all that power down to the road. A custom drive shaft and performance mufflers were added too, making it sound and drive like a real muscle car. Speaking of interior design, the car got a full makeover. The original blue interior was changed to black, and a new Hurst shifter was installed. Even though the second gear has a little wear, it still shifts smoothly, just like any classic muscle car. The car also has a 160-mile-per-hour speedometer and a custom tachometer to match its new power. What makes this car even more interesting is that it still looks like a regular old Studebaker sedan. But with the supercharged engine from the Avanti, Studebaker's high-performance sports car, this Lark Daytona packs a surprising punch. 12th, 1969 AMC Ramler Rogue 390. The 1969 AMC Ramler Rogue 390 was a small car with a huge surprise under the hood. It had a 390 cubic inch V8 engine that made 315 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of power for a car that looked like something your grandma might drive to church. But don't let its ordinary appearance fool you. This car was built for speed. Beyond this, the Rambler Rogue 390 came with a Hurst-shifted T10 4-speed manual transmission, which made it feel more like a race car than a regular sedan. It also had a twin-grip limited-slip rear differential that helped the back tires get better traction when you hit the gas. This made the car take off from a stop much faster than most people expected. The Rambler Rogue 390 also stood out because of its paint options. It came in two bold color combinations. The A scheme was red, white, and blue, giving it a very patriotic look. The B scheme was red, black, and white, which was a little more subtle but still loud. Either way, it turned heads and stood out on the road. Above all, the car was built for performance, with heavy-duty suspension parts, an anti-sway bar, and anti-hop rear links to keep it steady during hard driving. It had disc brakes in the front and drums in the back, with power assist, so it could stop as well as it could go. The hood had a fiberglass air scoop that really worked, feeding air to the engine. It also came with a Go package that added racing stripes, wheel flares, and special tires. Inside, the car had a big tachometer on the steering column. Plus, only 1,512 of these were made, and most people called it the Scrambler. 13th, 1962. Toyota Publica Sports. The Toyota Publica Sports was a unique car that many people have forgotten about, but it played an important role in Toyota's history. It was first shown at the 1962 Tokyo Auto Show and had a design that was ahead of its time. Built on the Toyota Publica, a small economy car, the Publica Sports was turned into something much more exciting and fun. Even though Publica Sports had a lot of potential, it never went into full production. Instead, it was used as a prototype for what would later become the Toyota Sports 800 in 1965. Because it never reached mass production, Publica Sports didn't get as much attention as the cars that came after it. Regarding power, the car was powered by a 43 cubic inch, two-cylinder, air-cooled engine, the same one used in the regular Toyota Publica. This engine made 28 horsepower, which wasn't a lot, but the car was very light, so it could perform well for its size. It could reach speeds of up to 45 miles per hour in city driving and even go as fast as 100 miles per hour on a track. One of the coolest features of the Publica Sports was its sliding canopy roof. Instead of regular doors, it had a bubble-like glass canopy that slid open, making the car look like something from a science fiction movie. This design was very unique and wasn't seen in many production cars. Although the Publica Sports didn't go into production, it was an important step in Toyota's journey to making sports cars. 14. 1965 Buick Skylark Grand Sport. The 1965 Buick Skylark Grand Sport may not look like a muscle car, but it had a huge 401 cubic inch V8 engine, which they called the 400, to fit the rules set by General Motors at the time. Despite the sneaky name, this engine produced 325 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot for a car that didn't look too flashy. What made it even more interesting was that Buick didn't just drop a big engine into a regular Skylark. They gave every version, hardtop, coupe, and convertible, the stronger frame of a convertible to handle all that power. The suspension was also upgraded with heavy-duty shocks, springs, and a thick sway bar in the front, making the car handle better than people expected. Furthermore, the Skylark Grand Sport came with a few different transmission options. You could choose a 3-speed manual, a 4-speed manual, or a 2-speed automatic called the Super Turbine 300. People called it a 2.5-speed because it had a special switch pitch feature in the torque converter. With the automatic, the car could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.4 seconds, which was decent, but not as fast as some other muscle cars like the Pontiac GTO. What really made the Skylark Grand Sport a sleeper was how smooth and quiet it was. It had comfortable bucket seats, air conditioning, power steering, and brakes. But its weak brakes and small front drums made stopping a challenge, especially in an emergency. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.